You cannot save yourself by saving. See, this is a concept that took me a really long time to actually understand. See, whenever I was in my 20s, going into my early 30s, my main focus and my main goal, the only thing that I was focusing on, was trying to figure out how I can live every single month on the least amount of money possible while being able to save the most amount of money possible every single month. See, I had a couple of different things that I had to worry about. I had a son whenever I was 18 years old, and I actually started college late. I didn't go to college until I was about 20 or 21. So I was already behind the eight ball, so to speak, from the very beginning. So my main focus was how can I actually maintain a household and be able to support not only myself, but support a family as well. And it wasn't until I was about 29, 30 that I really started to understand that saving money was never going to get me to where I wanted to be. Now, I want to make sure that I also state that it's not a bad idea to save money, especially if you have a goal, right? If you're saving for a vacation, or if you're saving for a house renovation, or a house down payment, you're saving money for a particular goal, right? That's something that I will always support. But for somebody like me that had $30,000 or $40,000 in a savings account at any given time, that was actually hurting me because I was losing money, right? Because back then, and we're talking about the early 2000s going into 2010, most savings accounts were paying about 0.5% of interest. And I just didn't really understand that, right? I didn't have a lot of financial education, financial understanding, and I absolutely had no idea on how to build wealth. I just put money in a savings account and I didn't touch it and I left it there. And I didn't realize that the value of my dollars were going down every single day. And it wasn't until I actually started to get online and do some research and I started reading some books to actually start educating myself. And I talked in previous videos about how I really started to learn about money and finances whenever I started getting more active and involved in my 401k. I took advantage of some of the finance analyst calls and some of the online courses that they were giving away for free so I could actually start to learn about money and how to actually build money. See, I was good at budgeting. I was good at minimizing how much money that I spent on a monthly basis, but I had no idea how to grow money. So at one point I had $30,000, $40,000 in a savings account earning 0.5% of interest, which at the time I thought was great. Like, oh, I'm starting to have some money in my account. And I didn't realize that it was the value of my dollars were going down every single day. And to give you an example of how much my money was being devalued every single day, I'll just give you a very quick example. So the inflation rate is 3.5%. And I had $100 in a savings account that was paying 0.5% of interest. The following year, that $100 has the equivalent buying power of $97. So the value of my $100 decreased by $3. Now that might not seem like a lot, right? It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you multiply the amount of money that you have in a savings account, the net number starts to go up drastically. So if you have $10,000 in a savings account, at the very next year, then that $10,000 has the same buying power of $9,700. And it just continues to go up and get more out of whack as you have more money in that savings account. And that was something that I didn't understand, right? And it wasn't until I started to read certain books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door, The Richest Man in Babylon, where I really started to learn about how to multiply and grow money. And I started to learn how to invest and things just really started to take off for me. So in today's video, I just wanted to just quickly go over a few of the things that I did that helped me to actually accelerate my net worth faster than I ever thought could be possible. The very first thing that I had to understand is when you're starting to build wealth, it is often a very slow process. And I realized that that was probably the number one reason why most people failed when it came to actually building wealth, because they'll actually look at some calculators and they'll see, hey, if I invest X amount of dollars over a 25-year period, I'll have $1 million, right? I think we've all seen those type of examples. And a lot of people are like, that's just too long, right? It takes too long. And if I have to do that, then I want to live my life now. Because you can't take it with you, right? We've probably all heard someone say, money is great or saving money is great, but you could die tomorrow and you didn't have an opportunity to enjoy yourself. And I think there's some validity to that, but I think there needs to be a good balancing act, because what happens if you live to be 85, right? All of that stuff that you said earlier in life, it doesn't matter, because now you're in a situation to where you're depending on Social Security or the government to take care of you, right? So we've all seen that. We all probably have someone in our family that's experiencing that right now. So that was like the very first thing that I think that I had to really understand when I started to dig in and understand about like financial concepts and things like that, is that it's a long process, right? And the second thing that I realized is once that ball gets rolling, after a while, it really starts to speed up, because I had mentioned that I had between $30,000 and $40,000 in a savings account. And, I ended up paying off some debt. I paid off my student loans and things of that nature, which took that number down some. But I was able to surpass that $30,000 or $40,000 in probably a 2-year period that I had him just sitting in a savings account. And a lot of that was just by investing in the stock market. And I think at the time I may have invested in like some CDs or something like that. I was just trying out anything at that point in time, but I was still able to multiply that money a little bit. I think that was the second thing that really stuck out to me, is that once you actually get the ball rolling, that it starts to speed up exponentially. Number 3 is I realized that I could enjoy myself while simultaneously investing in my financial future. So that took the excuse of you only live once off the table. And number 4, I had to block out all the noise if I wanted to be above average. Now, there's nothing wrong with being average, because most people are in fact average. But if you have aspirations of climbing to higher heights and being above average, you have to learn to do what average people are usually not willing to do. And that's being consistent and blocking out all the noise and not worrying about any of the negativity around what I had going as far as my process, my plans, and my goals and aspirations. And lastly is consistency. I realized that none of this works if you're not being consistent. And one of the things that helped me out the most was automating as much as I possibly could. So for example, in my brokerage account, whenever I get paid, there is a certain amount of dollars that is automatically moved over into my brokerage account that I use to invest every time I get paid. And being able to do that has helped me to take out one step, one hurdle, one obstacle for me to have an excuse of why not to be consistent and follow the plan. So what do you guys think? What are some of the things that happened in your life that was kind of that light bulb moment to where you realize that the path that you were taking from a financial perspective may not be working and you needed to change course? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.